A senior figure in South Africa's National Assembly, Solomon Lachisa-Tsinali, has condemned the United States' decision to supply cluster bombs to Ukraine, which have now been deployed against Russian forces. Tsinali argued that the use of such weapons, despite objections, is inappropriate and poses a grave threat to civilians both during and long after the conflict, as unexploded cluster munitions can cause harm for years. The African leader emphasized that the impact of this decision extends beyond Eastern Europe, affecting Africa as well. In contrast to the U.S. approach, China presented a 12-point peace plan for resolving the Ukraine crisis, which African leaders, including South African President Ramaphosa, view as a more favorable strategy. These leaders recently visited Kyiv and Moscow, proposing a peace initiative that includes unimpeded grain exports via the Black Sea, mutual de-escalation, and enhanced humanitarian aid. With the African continent experiencing the consequences of disrupted supply routes due to the conflict, Tsinali stressed the importance of taking China's peace plan and the African leaders' proposals seriously. China's top diplomat, Wang Yi, has been engaging in diplomatic meetings with key officials in several countries, including South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, and Turkey. During his visit to Nairobi, Wang met with Kenyan President William Ruto, and now he is heading to Johannesburg for the 13th BRICS Summit. South Africa currently chairs the BRICS group, which comprises Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, seeking to challenge the influence of the dominant U.S. and European-led global governance structures. The upcoming BRICS Summit aims to further strengthen cooperation and strategic ties among these fast-growing economies, providing them with a united platform to assert their collective influence on the global stage. Beijing's increasing presence in Africa is evident through Wang's diplomatic tour of the continent, underscoring China's efforts to foster stronger economic and political partnerships with African nations. As the summit draws closer, expectations are high for discussions on key global issues and challenges, showcasing the bloc's commitment to shaping a more multipolar world order. Wang's visit serves as a testament to China's proactive approach in engaging with African countries, reflecting its ongoing efforts to bolster regional collaboration and partnerships for mutual growth and development. In Botswana's capital, Gaborone, demonstrations have erupted against a bill aiming to legalize same-sex relationships, with religious groups leading the protests. The bill is in response to a 2019 court ruling that declared jail sentences for same-sex relationships unconstitutional, prompting the government's appeal loss in 2021. Protesters voiced their opposition to the bill, claiming it goes against their religious beliefs and moral standards. The Evangelical Fellowship of Botswana, EFB, emphasized that the legislation could lead to the legalization of homosexuality, which they believe would not benefit the nation. These anti-LGBTQ protests in Botswana are part of a broader pushback against LGBTQ rights in southern Africa. Last week, Malawi witnessed similar demonstrations ahead of a constitutional court case challenging the ban on same-sex relationships in the country. The issue continues to spark debates on individual freedoms, human rights, and the intersection of religious beliefs with legal and societal norms. Italy hosted a one-day conference in Rome, bringing together representatives from 20 nations, EU officials, and international organizations to address migration issues across the Mediterranean. Led by Italy's Premier Giorgia Meloni, the summit aimed to find solutions to energy challenges, illegal migration, and European reliance on Russian supplies, with African leaders, including Ethiopian PM Abiy Ahmed and Tunisia's President Kais Saied, in attendance. The conference sparked concerns among human rights groups that it might lead to anti-migrant policies, putting the burden on African nations to keep Africans from Europe. Meloni proposed 4 key areas for future cooperation, including fighting criminal organizations trafficking migrants, better managing migration flows, supporting refugees, and assisting countries of origin. The meeting also highlighted the dangers faced by migrants attempting to cross the Mediterranean, with the IOM reporting over 1,900 deaths or disappearances this year and a total of 27,675 since 2014. Egyptian activist Patrick George Zaki, who was recently released from prison, arrived in Italy on Sunday, where the government had championed his case. The high-profile activist was warmly welcomed at Milan's Malpensa airport before heading to Bologna, where he had been living and studying before his detention in Cairo in 2020. Zaki expressed gratitude and vowed to continue his human rights work. Zaki's case had resonated in Italy, drawing parallels with the tragic fate of Italian student Giulio Regeni, who was abducted and killed in Cairo in 2016. Italy had persistently called for Zaki's release since his arrest, and Premier Giorgia Meloni emphasized that his return was a result of diplomatic efforts based on mutual respect. While Zaki was pardoned last week, following his conviction for disseminating false news, the Italian government continues to press Egyptian authorities for clarity on Regeni's fate. A tragic civilian plane crash in Sudan killed 9 people, including 4 soldiers, due to technical reasons, according to the army. The accident occurred in Port Sudan, the only functioning airport in the country amid the ongoing conflict that has entered its 100th day. The war in Sudan has resulted in over 3,900 deaths since April 15th, with more than 2.2 million people internally displaced, particularly from Khartoum. The paramilitary rapid support forces have been occupying civilian properties and using them as operational bases, while the Sudanese army responds with airstrikes and shelling, causing immense destruction and displacement. Amidst the conflict, residents in Khartoum and neighboring areas are struggling with limited access to water, intermittent electricity, and food shortages. The situation is dire, with residents helping each other through local resistance committees, while pro-democracy activists seek assistance for those in need. Additionally, humanitarian facilities have been targeted, with Doctors Without Borders reporting an attack on their medical team in Khartoum. In their first ever Women's World Cup appearance, Morocco faced a tough defeat as Germany dominated with a resounding 6-0 victory. Alexandra Popp showcased her offensive prowess, scoring 2 goals within the first half, 11th, 39th, while Clara Buell added another right after halftime, 46th. Additionally, 2 own goals from Moroccan players, Hannah Eid El Hajj, 54th, and Yasmin Rabbit, 79th, further contributed to Germany's decisive win, with Leah Schuller sealing the victory with a goal in the final minutes, 90th. This massive victory marked the largest margin in the tournament so far, elevating Popp's international goal count to 64, securing her place as the 3rd highest scorer in Germany's history. For Morocco, the debut match defeat puts them under pressure in the group stage. As the first Arab and North African nation to participate in the Women's World Cup, Morocco will need to bounce back and deliver improved performances in their upcoming matches to stay in contention for the knockout stage. The Gabonese Election Center, CGE, has confirmed 19 candidates for the upcoming presidential elections scheduled for August 26th. President Ali Bongo Ondimba remains the frontrunner, seeking a 3rd term. Among the opposition figures are Alexander Barrow Chambrier and Paulette Masambo, who have formed the Alternance 2023 coalition to challenge Bongo, although the opposition remains divided. The ruling Gabonese Democratic Party holds strong majorities in parliament, making it likely to come out ahead in the legislative and local elections on the same day. However, the opposition has protested against recent amendments to the Electoral Code, particularly limiting observers per polling station and eliminating the envelope for rejected ballot papers. Bongo's detractors see these changes as maneuvers to favor his re-election. Earlier this year, a consensus-building forum led to changes in the Constitution, reducing the presidential term and returning the ballot to a single round, a move criticized by the main opposition leaders as a means to facilitate Bongo's re-election. As the election approaches, tensions and debates over electoral rules continue to shape the political landscape in Gabon. Al Hilal, Saudi Arabia's most successful club, introduced Portuguese coach Jorge Jesus to fans as he begins his 2nd stint in charge. The 68-year-old coach, who previously spent 7 months with Al Hilal, was recently at Fenerbahce, leading them to their first Turkish Cup victory in 9 years. The club also unveiled new signings, including Senegalese defender Kalidou Koulibaly, who joined from Chelsea, and midfielders Ruben Neves from Wolverhampton Wanderers and Serge Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio. Fans eagerly welcomed the new additions ahead of a friendly match against Kuwait FC. With a fresh lineup and an experienced coach, Al Hilal is aiming to build a formidable team for the upcoming season, hoping to maintain their status as a dominant force in Saudi Arabian football. Human Rights Watch accused the Malian armed forces and fighters associated with the Wagner Group, likened to Russian paramilitaries, of committing atrocities against civilians during anti-jihadist operations in central Mali since December 2022. The NGO reported cases of executions, torture of detainees, and looting and destruction of civilian property. With the UN mission set to leave Mali by the end of 2023, Human Rights Watch is calling on the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States to pressure the authorities to end the abuses and hold those responsible accountable. According to the NGO's report, 40 witnesses described the involvement of armed foreign men who did not speak French. The testimony revealed incidents like the discovery of 8 lifeless bodies after an assault by white foreign fighters in uniform on the village of Seguela in February. This attack led to beatings, looting, and the arrest of 17 men. The current junta in power, which has distanced itself from France and turned towards Russia, denies the presence of Wagner and claims that Russian army instructors are deployed for state-to-state cooperation.